I was thinking about this topic and everything, and I was having my conversation with Spirit. Many of you know I do a daily visit on paper or in my iPad with Spirit, and I ask questions, tell me what to think about this or tell me what to think about that. And this morning, breakfast, I was doing that, and I want to read you what came out. I was very pleased with it. Not that Spirit needs my approval, but nevertheless, I like what I like. And so it's, hi Spirit, hi Shawn. Spirit, tell me what to think about love and love. And capital L, love, and small l, love. Now, what made me think to write that? Well, I said do this work. That's what made me think to write that. But Spirit said, Shawn, you asked about both. Because you know they are two different things. Shawn, capital L, love is God. It won't change, and it is a divine principle of your true nature. Love is your connection to what you call God, and it just is. It's never not going to be. Okay. Small l, love is nice, but temporary, based on temporary things. I love chocolate. Can you really compare that with the unchanging presence of God? Sometimes. And I love you. You know, we say that, and how often we mean, I love you till you displease me. We can declare our love for lots of things when what we are really declaring is our current preference and passion. I am loved, capital L-O-V-E-D. I am loved with an everlasting love has nothing to do with preferences. It also has nothing to do with earning it. It has to do with the capital L love that is. We would do well to let that love be our primary focus and then seek as to how we can align our thinking with it. Imagine loving yourself as you are loved by God. Imagine that you don't have to earn your love from yourself. Imagine that you are not imperfect. Imagine that you are not imperfect, but that you have simply forgotten your source. Sometimes I hit other keys, or iPad has a mind of its own with letters. But imagine that you have simply forgotten your source. And when I read that, I thought, I like that. I like that a lot. You have forgotten your capital S self. And that's all that it is. You've forgotten yourself. It's the same for everyone else as well. If you see someone whose behaviors disturb you because you know they are out of spiritual integrity, take the time to realize that they have forgotten their self. Capital S self. Notice how you can identify with them. Don't use the out clause. Well, I'm not as bad as they are. I never did that. Just notice how you can identify with forgetting yourself. And then my breakfast came. But that hit home with me. It's such spiritual logic. It makes such good sense, doesn't it? That the only reason anyone would ever hurt themselves or someone else is they forgot what they are. It's the only reason I would ever hurt anyone or myself is because I forgot who and what I am. It is the only reason. And the only reason I would forget is because I don't spend quite enough time intentionally remembering. Intentionally be the love is the name of the talk. And so to set my intention each day to remember that be my primary focus. Before I set my calendar to get all my work done, before I set my calendar to go to the grocery store, before I set my calendar to hate myself because I forgot to go to the store yesterday, because I forgot whatever yesterday, and sometimes I don't even need to set my calendar. I can just do it spontaneously. Anybody here be able to hate themselves spontaneously? And it can take a lot of time. I can invest a lot of time just being mad at myself and then taking it out on others, or I have other choices, and I've been working on those other choices a lot lately, in order to live in the peace that I am promised I can live in. I can have a more intentional life. And the intentional life has to do with the love, capital L love, that I am. And it has to do with remembering the capital L love that you guys are. That you guys are. Am I in the middle or that one? Okay, just making sure. I don't want to be looking over there the whole time. No, the angle. And so the capital L love, that part of us that does not change, no matter how hard we try. No matter what our past tells us to think. That capital L love is about our divine nature. It's always been here. It's always been present. And because we always live now, we're not going to live then. We didn't live then. We live now. It will never change. That capital L love aspect of ourselves will never, ever change. So we can tap into it. Oh, can I snap my fingers? I'm getting better. You gotta understand, I fell down a couple of years ago and I haven't been able to snap in a long time. I'm getting better and better and better. Talk about God, you can snap your fingers. It kind of is. It kind of is. The next time I'm dancing. And so I can remember it and tap into it at any moment, always right now. And that's the thing. I don't have to entertain the misery. I can notice it. I can go ahead and feel it. But I can say, oh no, I'm not going to stay here. There's no payoff that I truly want. My misery does not prosper me. Could we know that together? My misery does not prosper me. It doesn't. The joy of the Lord prospers me now. Let's say that together. The joy of the Lord prospers me now. Remembering God prospers me now. Remembering the truth of my being prospers me now. Remembering the truth of your being prospers us now. And so that's the thing. If I can remember the truth of your being, we both prosper. And I get to witness it, whether you're remembering or not. But my remembering the truth of your being will help you to remember yours. And that's how I can be of service all the time. So, and how do I phrase this? Well, sometimes we get together and we do not remember the truth of one another's being, let alone the truth of people who aren't even in the room. We do not take the time or even interest in remembering the truth of their being. We have another entertainment in mind, and it's the exact opposite of the truth of their being. It's the falsehood of their being. And when I'm remembering the falsehood of your being, I'm remembering the falsehood of mine, and that's the focus. And I do not thrive and I do not prosper in that entertainment. And that's really what it is. It's an entertainment. It's like watching the news. The news is an entertainment, believe it or not. Fox News was set up to be an entertainment. It wasn't set up to be a news station. It was set up to be an entertainment thing, and that's why people get addicted to it. But the other news stations follow along. There's always a slant at every news station in order to hook you into the story. It's like we watch Grey's Anatomy. We are hooked into that story. A couple of months ago, we started binge watching from the first episode. We are as addicted to that, and those people, sometimes, it's not quite like it was at the first couple of seasons, where I would suddenly worry about them. I'd wake up worried about these characters in the middle of the night. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's gone too far. It's just gone too far. And it's the same with the news. The news does not reflect who anybody is. The news is not a true mirror of who anybody they speak of or don't speak of is. And, it's meant to guide your thinking in a specific way. Now, church can be the same thing. Spirituality can be the same thing. And that's why I try to be very careful and be intentionally be the love here so that I'm not inflicting guilt on anybody. I don't want to guide anybody to be guilty because of their past or even their present thinking. That's not my intention. Now, it could be why there's 16 people here instead of 100. That could be why. I've got nothing to threaten you people with. I've got nothing to threaten you people with. You know, there's no guilt, there's no hell, there's no sin in truth. Truth of your being is, you are God's beloved child. I'm God's beloved child. We are God's beloved children, no matter what. And so, the point of today's talk is, if you fear a group of people, if you fear an individual, set your intention to love them. Set your intention to love yourself so that you may look at your sister and your brother. You may look at them and say, wait a minute, we are all one big family here. And my intention is to love myself, and I can't do that if I don't love you, so I'm going to love you. But you have to love me too. And you have to love yourself. And so I'm willing to know you are love. You are love. You are love. I did that with a coworker years ago. Don't tell Mama. She came to me. She said the foulest words to me. She was trying to be funny, but it was bizarre. And I just looked at her and I said, I just love you. She looked at me like she had never heard those words in her life from anybody. What? Is he scamming me? It was very clear. And she came back and tried the same trick again. I said, I meant it. I really love you. I thought she was going to take a bite out of my door on my sound booth. But she stopped doing it. So I saw the difference. I really saw the difference. When you love your brothers and your sisters and your brothers everywhere, you move mountains and you pick them up and you throw them into the sea. I've proven it, and I've proven the opposite. That when I plan for resistance, when I think of the punishment that some people in this world should receive, my heart gets a little cranky. My appetites grow tremendously. My insecurities grow. I feel like I'm under attack, and I have to let that go somewhere. So either I'm going to yell at somebody, or inappropriately. I'm not sure if there's appropriate yelling at somebody, but you know what I mean. Or I'm just going to yell at myself. And I'm going to shame myself, and I'm going to look in that mirror, and instead of saying, hi, God, I'm going to say, oh, you terrible thing, you. Oh, look at you. And I don't want to look in the mirror and say that anymore, and I don't want to look in these mirrors, you guys, as my mirror, and think you're terrible because you've gone the wrong way down the aisle in the supermarket. Really? Is that enough to send somebody to hell? A year ago it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you don't have a mask on. Oh, you're terrible. You are less than a Christ being. and I would look for loving and Christ-like ways to say, your mask slipped. I'd say it nicely or anything. Oh, there's arrows here. Because I had a certain amount of fear that I wasn't ready to let go of. And it wasn't just fear, it was respect. I had a respect for what I saw COVID doing with people. And I did not want to reinforce the thoughts of sickness, but at the same time, we're all playing along here. Let's play along and see if we could just eradicate this much quicker in our minds. I remember Wyoming son, he was talking about how Jesus touched the lepers in the street. He'd walk down the street and see a leper, and he would touch the leper. And that's kind of how leprosy got healed. It got eradicated. Because, first of all, the leper, he's touching me. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of this. Maybe I'm not so bad. And then other people say, he's touching the leper. He's not worried about getting leprosy. And so the mind changes about leprosy. And, when I see people love people who seem to have something missing from their daily life. And people are shunned because maybe they're not as attractive. Maybe they don't have as much money. Maybe they have an odd personality. David and I are watching a TV show called Special right now on Netflix. And it's about a young man who has
Cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy, thank you. And how he's trying to date. And he knows he's always been odd because people have shown him he's odd. And yet his mother tells him, no, you're normal. And they have a very codependent relationship. But he's striving for his independence, and he's striving, and we keep seeing certain people couldn't care less for both friendship and sex. Certain people just don't care. And so it's like, oh, I like you. You're attractive. What's your problem? Why are you down on yourself? And so he keeps stepping up and going back out and pursuing a life. He got his own apartment rather than live with his mother anymore. And he got a job, and he lied about his disability. And because he doesn't think of himself, for one thing, as disabled, but the other people do. And he said, I was in a car accident. And that's why I walk this way, and that's why my hand is this way. And it made him popular at work. Oh man, you're the guy who was in the car accident. Now you're deformed a little bit and everything. Write an article about it. Write an article. And then when he decided to break the news to everybody, he said, I didn't have a car accident. I have cerebral palsy. Everybody just turned and walked away. You lied to us all this time. Now we don't like you. We thought you were authentic. We're silly people. And in my experience, when I started my spiritual healing, I worked harder to live a life in integrity, in spiritual integrity, even if it meant I would get in trouble, even if it meant someone would be disappointed in me, even if it meant, and for many years in this spiritual healing journey, I told the truth to the point that where it aggravated people. But I told the truth. One day somebody said, Shawn, you're scary honest. Because, if you show up and you just say, oh yeah, I did this, they don't know what to do with it. There's no fight, there's no resistance. And then later on in my healing process, I lied again because I was afraid of being yelled at. I was afraid of being thought as less than. I didn't want to necessarily stop some of my behaviors, and so I would lie, and then I got caught, and I realized I don't like getting caught lying. Anybody? It is no fun to get caught lying. And I don't know anybody who does think it's fun to get caught lying, but some people are willing to continue to risk it. And it's like, okay, I've had to work on this for a while now. It's like, okay, I think it's better to tell the truth so that I can intentionally be the love. And if I'll just tell the truth about whatever, and they will deal with it. Now, that doesn't mean I come up to you and tell you I don't like your outfit. That's not telling the truth. That's just being unkind. And you remember on I Love Lucy when she had to tell the truth? She had a bet with Ricky and Ethel and Fred that she couldn't go 24 hours without lying. And the next day was Bridge Club. And Ethel was trying to get her to lie. I said, what do you think of Marion's new hat, Lucy? Oh, come on, it's this ridiculous thing. And finally Lucy said, that's the kind of hat you wanted, Marion. You sure got a good one. And I've used that since then. If that's the one you wanted, you sure got a good one. Wow, it really suits your taste. And so I don't do this stuff like that. I don't. That's just cruel. To tell people what you think of how they look, and if they ask, you can say, it's maybe not your best day, things like that. But to deliberately, I've got to tell the truth at every minute of what I'm thinking. No, that's not it. It's about your spiritual integrity. It's about your life integrity, and it's about how you trust God. Do you trust that you are eternally loved in spirit? Do you trust that the person or persons you are talking with are eternally loved in spirit? Do you trust this? If you do, you can trust the outcome As I said in a talk a couple of weeks ago, we're not in the outcomes business. We're in the process business. And so I don't have to fear the outcome. I don't have to fear being hated. I don't have to fear any of that. Let me show up, risk being really uncomfortable for myself and perhaps a few of us, and go from there. So each day, my intention is to be the love, to intentionally be the love, then I'm home free, because I will be divinely guided on how to be the love. I'm not going to be relying on my ego to be the love. I already am the love, and what will be the best for all will keep flowing from my mind and from my mouth. I have one little passage to read here from the Holy Spirit's interpretation. It comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And it says here, I don't know if you've seen this book. It's my favorite spiritual book. It's the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament, and it goes from Matthew to Revelation. And it's like I'm in the mind of Jesus, or I'm in the mind of God, or I'm in the mind of Spirit. And it's just talking to me as opposed to preaching at me. So 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 through 7, the reason for all things is love. Capital L, love. Division is the opposite of love, because division excludes, and love cannot exclude. Love is whole, knowing only truth. Become as an empty shell to know love. That is your reason. That is your true desire. To look on the world and divide it by judging is not love. And so it is not what you want. Lay down what you do not want, and accept joyfully that which you do. Set your intention. I'm not even going to ask what is your intention. I know your intention is love. Now with that, get more understanding. Get more wisdom on what love is. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.